2001 monolithic. Here to bring you, gonna do a little walk around and specs on these Adcom 4402 amplifiers. There is a video. Hi-Fi Vega did one on the 4404, which is a 4-channel, which I believe would be kind of like two of these in one chassis. And I would steer you towards that. It's awesome. He does a dyno and also a sound test on them. These things, I mean, even through YouTube, sound amazing. So I'm pretty excited about these. I want to use them for my. They were used on subs, which we'll get into that, but I want to use one for my front stage, one for my rear stage. I have two of them here. They came as a pair because each one was run bridged at 2 ohm to an Orion NT, the original carbon fiber subs. I did a walk around on previously, and to me, it's kind of a waste because these things are, I mean, from all accounts you read online, amazing sounding amplifiers. So I want to use it for my interior amps. But I'm going to do a walk around here. We'll take a look at what these are about. Here you'll see the actual full model number is the GFA-4402. And it looks like you got 8 gauge ground and 12 volt. Your remote, and then A and B, positive, negative. And then over here, balanced inputs. And so these are really goofy. So I've never seen anything like it. So this is just a plug to keep them from shorting. And this right now, how the configuration it's in, this is set up to run. Now you have to run it off of a specific type of crossover that inverts the right signal, the red. Because if you run this bridged, you do A positive, B positive. It's real goofy. They were run off this, I can show you real quick. It's ADS 642X. And that inverted the signal on these, and then also, I don't know, has like I'll do a video on that. It's pretty cool. The thing does a lot of stuff, especially for the time period. That thing was like crazy tech back then. I would say these were like 93 through like 97, and then Adcom got out of the car audio game, which is, I mean, you don't see a lot of these. They weren't a really good selling amp. They were kind of pricey, but for the time period, not outrageous, and amazing sounding amplifiers. So, you know, but I didn't hear a lot about them. I didn't find out Adcom until I got into home audio later. And they have a reputation of, in home audio, no frills, but excellent, well built. They're usually really large and very heavy. These, it's not like it's not particularly big, but when I read the specs, you'll be amazed. This is a 10-pound amplifier. But I don't know. We'll get into all the specs in a minute here. I'm just gonna run through the rest of it. So you had the power ground speaker outputs, level on these, so you can, each channel has its own gain, which to me, it's like, man, how do you set a gain on something that, like, so you're setting the gain for the positive and a gain for the negative, so those better be matched really, really well. I don't know how that works. I got to find out more about these things. I put out some message some people to shoot back some information. I was holding off on this video, but nobody's responded so far. So, you know, if anybody's got info, definitely drop it in the comments, because, you know, I don't know a whole heck of a lot about these. The manual's online, but it doesn't really lay everything out. But anyway, it's fan cooled. These are completely set up different than anything I've ever seen. And then you can see it's wide open. And something's really cool about these. They have these green LEDs when everything's on that glow in there, so they're pretty sweet looking at night. But yeah, it's just wide open. And we'll go through that one to take a better look at it. But yeah, just really solid amplifiers. The bottom's metal. The ends are, they're a plastic, but it has a lot of fiberglass in it, which makes, I don't know if you know much about plastics. I just happen to work in medical field for a while, and with plastics and injection molding, and this stuff right here would tear up your die or tool really fast, but because of it's abrasive to inject or whatever, but it makes for a very strong and resilient plastic. A lot of if you notice, like old school tools, they had like a bit of a different feel, and you could just throw them on the ground and the housing doesn't crack or whatever. That's because it's like this. A lot of plastics today, they don't add that, which you can get a lot more out of a tool before it's worn out, but it's not as good of a plastic. So it is plastic, but it's a really, really nice plastic. Here's the other end plate. It's just open. Everything about this thing is designed for cooling. And the reason for that is these are biased heavily to Class A operation. And when I read the specs, you'll see these are very power hungry, but if you're going for sound quality, it's just the way it goes. Pretty much I find efficiency inversely proportionate to sound quality. But anyway, so let's take a look at this thing. So what you have in the middle, you got a chassis that's extruded aluminum. Then you got extruded aluminum heatsink that all your FETs are on. And look, there's a bunch of them on here. Other side, same deal. So that's power supply side, rectifiers, and then the output section, and just really cool looking amplifiers. One thing that's interesting, and this is really interesting because these caps are the first caps I've ever seen, and I can't say for sure, but if you can see in there, CDE USA. So I'm thinking these are USA made caps. They're blue. And what's interesting about that, one, I've never seen a USA made cap. Two, this amplifier had this open. They're black, and they say Japan right on them. So, and from the guy I bought them off of, he's the original owner, bought them at the same time. So I thought that was kind of interesting. These are made in the USA. Let me see if I can show you the LEDs I was talking about. There's one. And right here, and there's a red, which will be probably in Protect. And then there's a third one. Just gonna get some light in there, right there. But yeah, really, really cool. I'm gonna go ahead and do a real slow pan by in case anybody's like really wanting to see what's going on here, and they can tell I don't know a whole heck of a lot about electronics. But it looks like, well, it's only got, it's not dual mono block, but you can see two distinct channels here, and then where you change your bias, like two separate. So these things are just different than anything I've ever seen. So kind of goofy. But anyway, so now let's get into the specs. I'm sorry, this one's running kind of long. They're 10 pounds. They are 9 3/4 wide, 12 3/4 long, and a little over 2 1/4 height. At 4 ohm, these are 40 watts a channel with 0.1 THD. At 2 ohm stereo, they're 80 watts a channel at 0.25 THD. 4 ohm mono has them at 140 watts at 0.25 THD. Now in the manual it says that these are 1 ohm stable stereo. but it does not recommend that you run them at that. There's the frequency range, it has it listed in the manual as 0 hertz to 50,000 hertz at +0 -3 dB. Input sensitivity 400 millivolts to 2 volts. So you can't run these off a high powered deck without first running it through a signal processor like the ADS or some other line driver, because it would just be too many. You'd be on decks later in the 90s and then today's decks, it would probably be too much voltage, where you couldn't adjust the gain proper. Stereo separation 90 dB, signal to, or greater than 90 dB, signal to noise ratio greater than 100 dB. Current draw at idle is 3 amps, which usually on a 40 watts by 2 amp should be 1 or less amps. But these are class A biased heavily, so that's why it uses a lot. And then it recommends a 30 amp fuse, which, I mean, if you're gonna bridge these down, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're gonna see a lot more than 300 watts out of these. With it at 140 watts mono at 4 ohm, these are run at 2. The most you should be seeing is like 280 or so. So yeah, not powerhouses, but excellent sounding amplifiers. And then just, I thought, really wanted to show these because it's a really, really neat design. I mean, it's just totally different than anything else at the time or since. They kind of did their own thing. This one, you can see one of these, when I first picked up the amp, I'm like, oh man, something's loose in there. What is it? One of the components had like a, bad solder joint or something. And it wasn't. It was, they have these little plastic deals on there. And this one had fallen off. So there was just one of those black little plastic things rattling around in there. And I took it off and put it somewhere I'd remember, which I forgot immediately. So I don't know where that was. I was going to throw it on before I did the video. And I couldn't find it. But, I mean, it's nothing. It just sets over that so that you didn't have this silver showing or whatever. But anyway, I think that's about it on these. Thanks for watching.